Every day, we say goodbye to stars who touched our lives with unforgettable performances, inspiring journeys, and timeless legacies. Today, on Gone Legends, we pause to honor 3 American legends who have passed away recently. Before we begin, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Gone Legends, and let us know in the comments where you are watching from. Together, we keep their memories alive. Today, we remember a man whose face, voice, and presence brought authenticity and humanity to every role he played. A man who gave us one of cinema's most memorable characters, and who proved that true acting is about honesty, grit, and heart. His name was Burt Young. Burt Young was born Gerald Tommaso DeLuise on April 30, 1940, in Queens, New York. He grew up in a working-class Italian-American family, surrounded by the tough streets and neighborhoods of Queens. Those early experiences shaped him, giving him the authenticity that he later carried into his performances. Before acting, Burt lived many lives. He served in the United States Marine Corps, where he learned discipline and toughness. After his service, he took up boxing, training under legendary manager Cus D'Amato. For a time, he pursued a professional career in the ring, earning respect as a fighter. But deep down, Burt's true calling wasn't in the boxing ring. It was on the stage and screen. Burt Young's entry into acting was almost by fate. He studied under the legendary acting teacher Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio. Strasberg saw something raw and real in Burt, an ability to embody characters that felt lived in and authentic. Burt took that advice to heart, and soon began building a career in Hollywood. He didn't look or sound like the typical leading men of the time, but that was exactly what made him special. In 1976, Burt Young was cast in the role that would define his career, Paulie Pennino in Rocky. Paulie, the gruff but loyal brother-in-law of Rocky Balboa, was a complex character. He was flawed, often angry, and sometimes selfish, but beneath it all was a man filled with love, vulnerability, and loyalty. Burt brought Paulie to life with honesty and grit. His performance earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor, a recognition of just how powerful his portrayal was. Over the next 4 decades, Burt reprised the role of Paulie in 6 Rocky films, becoming as iconic to the franchise as Sylvester Stallone himself. Audiences loved Paulie, not because he was perfect, but because he was real. Though Rocky was his signature role, Burt Young's career was filled with diverse performances. He appeared in films such as Chinatown, 1974, The Pope of Greenwich Village, 1984, Once Upon a Time in America, 1984, and Last Exit to Brooklyn, 1989. On television, he guest-starred in series like The Sopranos, Law and Order, and MASH*, always bringing the same depth and authenticity that made him unforgettable. Burt had the rare ability to embody working-class characters with truth and dignity, showing audiences the struggles, flaws, and resilience of everyday people. Outside of Hollywood, Burt Young was also a painter and a writer. His artwork was exhibited in galleries around the world, showcasing another side of his creativity. He also wrote plays and screenplays, proving that storytelling was at the very core of who he was. He was not just an actor. He was an artist in every sense of the word. On October 8, 2023, Burt Young passed away in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 83. His cause of death was reported as natural causes. He was laid to rest in a private family ceremony, leaving behind a legacy that continues to resonate with film lovers everywhere. His passing was mourned not only by fans, but also by his peers, who remembered him as a kind man, a generous colleague, and a true professional. Burt Young may not have been the leading man in most of his films, but he was the beating heart of every story he entered. His characters were layered, flawed, and deeply human. As Paulie in Rocky, he became a symbol of loyalty and love even through imperfection. As a character actor, he elevated every project he touched. And as an artist, he expressed himself in ways that transcended the screen. Burt Young lived 83 years of creativity, resilience, and authenticity. He showed us that acting is not about glamour, it's about truth. He reminded us that every character, no matter how small, can touch hearts when played with honesty. Though he is gone, His performances remain eternal. Rest in peace, Burt Young. You may have left this world, but your voice, your art, and your legacy will live on forever. Today, we remember a woman who was more than an actress. She was a television star, a businesswoman, an author, and a fighter. A woman who rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most recognizable faces in American pop culture. Her name was Suzanne Somers. Suzanne Marie Mahoney, later known as Suzanne Somers, was born on October 16, 1946, in San Bruno, California. Her childhood was not easy. She grew up in a working-class Irish-American family, facing hardship and challenges that could have held her back. But Suzanne was determined to rise above. She discovered her love for the arts early on and pursued acting, modeling, and small television roles in her youth. Those first steps, small, uncertain, but full of hope, would eventually lead her to stardom. Suzanne Somers became a household name in the late 1970s when she landed the role of Chrissy Snow on the hit sitcom Three's Company. Chrissy, with her blonde hair, bubbly personality, and comedic innocence, quickly became the breakout character of the show. Suzanne's timing, charm, and humor turned her into America's sweetheart. Millions tuned in each week, and Suzanne Somers was suddenly one of television's brightest stars. Her performance earned her a Golden Globe nomination, and she became a cultural icon of her time. Chrissy Snow wasn't just a role, it was a phenomenon. Although her departure from the show in 1981 came after a dispute over equal pay, Suzanne did not let it end her career. Instead, she reinvented herself time and again. She starred in the hit sitcom Step by Step from 1991 to 1998, where she played Carol Foster Lambert, a loving mother in a blended family. The series became another success and introduced Suzanne to a new generation of fans. She also appeared in films such as American Graffiti, 1973, where she played the mysterious blonde in The T-Bird, forever remembered for her brief but iconic role. But Suzanne Somers was more than just an actress. She became a prolific author, writing more than 25 books, several of which became New York Times bestsellers. Many of her works focused on health, wellness, and empowerment, reflecting her personal philosophy of living life to its fullest. She was also a businesswoman, famously building an empire around fitness and wellness products. The most famous of these was the ThighMaster, a simple exercise device that became a cultural sensation in the 1990s. Suzanne's marketing savvy turned it into one of the most successful fitness products of all time. Through her books, business ventures, and public speaking, she encouraged millions to take control of their health, stay positive, and believe in the power of self-care. Suzanne Somers' life was not without its struggles. In the year 2000, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. For more than 2 decades, she fought bravely against the disease, undergoing treatments and sharing her journey openly with her fans. Her battle was not just about survival, it was about living. She continued to work, to create, and to inspire, even while facing the harsh realities of illness. She showed the world that courage is not the absence of fear, but the strength to keep going despite it. Suzanne's openness about her illness gave comfort to countless others who were fighting their own battles. On October 15, 2023, Suzanne Somers passed away peacefully at her home in Palm Springs, California, surrounded by her family. It was just one day before her 77th birthday. She was laid to rest at Desert Memorial Park in Cathedral City, California, where her memory will live on among family, friends, and the fans who loved her. Her passing left behind a wave of grief, but also an outpouring of love and gratitude from those who had been touched by her work and her spirit. Suzanne Somers was more than Chrissy Snow, more than Carol Foster, more than the ThighMaster Queen. She was a woman who continually reinvented herself, who turned setbacks into new beginnings, and who faced adversity with a smile and determination. She was a symbol of resilience, a pioneer in conversations about health and wellness, and above all, a woman who lived life on her own terms. Her laughter, her warmth, and her optimism will continue to inspire generations. Suzanne Somers lived 76 years of courage, creativity, and joy. She gave us laughter through her acting, empowerment through her books, and inspiration through her strength. Though she is gone, her legacy will continue to shine. In every rerun of Three's Company, in every step taken with her fitness programs, and in the lives of those she inspired with her story. Rest in peace, Suzanne Somers. You were a star on screen, a warrior in life, and a light that will never fade. Today, we honor a man whose career spanned 5 decades, whose talent brought him from Broadway to Hollywood, and whose warmth made him beloved by colleagues and fans alike. His name was Treat Williams. Richard Treat Williams was born on December 1, 1951, in Stamford, Connecticut. Raised in Rowayton, he grew up in a loving family, where his passion for the arts began early. He attended prep school at Kent School in Connecticut before going on to study theater at Franklin and Marshall College. By his early 20s, it was clear that Treat Williams was destined for the stage and screen. His combination of talent, presence, and dedication set him apart from the very beginning. Treat's career began in the theater, where he quickly made a name for himself. He appeared in productions like Grease, where his energy and charisma lit up the stage. His Broadway presence caught the attention of casting directors in Hollywood, opening the door to film and television. It wasn't long before Treat was making waves in the movie industry. In 1979, Treat Williams landed his breakout role as George Berger in the film adaptation of the hit musical Hair. His performance was electrifying, charismatic, rebellious, and unforgettable. It captured the spirit of the era and cemented him as one of Hollywood's most exciting young stars. The role earned him a Golden Globe nomination, putting him firmly on the map as an actor with both range and star power. Over the years, Treat Williams proved himself as one of the most versatile actors of his generation. His film credits included Prince of the City, 1981, where he played an NYPD detective torn by loyalty and corruption. The performance earned him another Golden Globe nomination and widespread critical acclaim. He also appeared in Once Upon a Time in America, 1984, Smooth Talk, 1985, Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, 1995, and countless other films. Whether drama, action, or comedy, Treat brought authenticity and depth to every character he played. While his film work was impressive, it was on television that Treat Williams captured the hearts of millions. From 2002 to 2006, he starred as Dr. Andy Brown in the beloved series Everwood. As a widowed father and brilliant neurosurgeon who moves his family to a small town in Colorado, Treat brought warmth, vulnerability, and wisdom to the role. His performance resonated deeply with viewers, making Everwood a cherished series that continues to be remembered fondly. He also had recurring roles in hit shows such as Blue Bloods, Chicago Fire, and We Own This City, proving his talent remained as strong as ever well into the later years of his career. Beyond acting, Treat Williams was also a licensed pilot, an author, and a family man. He loved flying airplanes and often spoke about the peace and freedom he found in the skies. He also wrote a children's book, Air Show, sharing his passion for aviation with younger generations. But perhaps his greatest role was off-screen, that of husband and father. Married to actress Pam Van Sant since 1988, Treat was deeply devoted to his family. Together, they raised 2 children, Jill and Ellie, who were the center of his world. On June 12, 2023, tragedy struck. Treat Williams was involved in a motorcycle accident near his home in Dorset, Vermont. Despite the best efforts of emergency responders, he passed away at the age of 71. His sudden loss was met with shock and grief from fans and colleagues across the world. Tributes poured in from co-stars, directors, and friends who remembered him not only as a talented actor, but as a kind, humble, and generous man. Treat was laid to rest after a private family service, with his ashes kept close to those he loved. Treat Williams' passing was heartbreaking, but his legacy is everlasting. He wasn't the loudest star in Hollywood, nor the most flamboyant. Instead, he was steady, dependable, and deeply respected. He embodied his roles with honesty, made his characters relatable, and left audiences touched by his sincerity. His work across stage, film, and television will live on, inspiring future generations of actors and storytellers. Treat Williams lived 71 years of art, family, and love. From Broadway to Hollywood, from Berger in Hair to Dr. Andy Brown in Everwood, he gave us characters who felt real, because he brought his heart to every role. Though he is gone, his spirit continues in the films and shows he left behind, and in the lives of the family, friends, and fans who loved him. Rest in peace, Treat Williams. You gave us truth, you gave us joy, and you will never be forgotten. Some legends are not only remembered for what they've done in the past, some continue to live among us, reminding us of strength, resilience, and the power of never giving up. One of those legends is Sylvester Stallone, actor, writer, director, producer, and cultural icon. This is the story of a man who fought against all odds, turned rejection into triumph, and became one of the most recognizable and inspirational figures in Hollywood history. Sylvester Stallone was born on July 6, 1946, in the gritty neighborhood of Hell's Kitchen in New York City. His birth was complicated and traumatic. The use of forceps during delivery severed a nerve, leaving him with partial facial paralysis, slurred speech, and the signature droop that would one day make him famous. What others saw as a weakness became his greatest trademark. His parents' turbulent marriage filled his childhood with instability. His father, Frank Stallone Sr., was a barber with old-world values and a harsh temper. His mother, Jackie, was eccentric, flamboyant, and outspoken. Home was loud, volatile, and unpredictable. School was no easier. Young Sylvester struggled with bullying, learning difficulties, and constant ridicule for his speech impediment. Teachers called him a troublemaker. He moved from school to school, never fitting in, never finding stability. But amid the chaos, Stallone discovered two things that would save him: his love for fitness and his passion for performance. By the early 1970s, Stallone was broke, rejected by casting directors again and again. He worked odd jobs, cleaning cages at the zoo, ushering at theaters, and even acting in films he'd later regret, just to survive. Then came the turning point. In 1975, Stallone watched the heavyweight championship fight between Muhammad Ali and underdog Chuck Wepner. Wepner, against all odds, knocked down the champ and went the distance. That fight lit a fire in Stallone's heart. In just 3.5 days, he wrote the screenplay for Rocky, a story about an unknown fighter from Philadelphia who gets one chance to prove himself. It was Stallone's own story told through boxing gloves and bruises. When producers wanted to buy the script but cast a big star like Burt Reynolds or James Caan, Stallone refused. He would sell the script only if he could play Rocky Balboa himself. It was a gamble. He was broke. So broke he had to sell his dog for $50. But Stallone held his ground. And that decision changed everything. In 1976, Rocky hit theaters. Shot on a shoestring budget of just over $1 million, it exploded into a cultural phenomenon, earning $225 million at the box office and winning 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Sylvester Stallone, once homeless and rejected, was suddenly one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Rocky Balboa became more than a character. He was a symbol of resilience, determination, and hope. The Italian stallion wasn't just fighting in the ring, he was fighting for everyone who had ever been told they weren't good enough. The sequels came quickly: Rocky II, Rocky III, Rocky IV, and Rocky V, each film reflecting not just Rocky's journey, but Stallone's own evolution as an artist and man. But Stallone wasn't finished. In 1982, he brought to life another unforgettable character, John Rambo in First Blood. Rambo was more than an action hero. He was the story of a broken Vietnam veteran, a man scarred by war and abandoned by the country he served. Stallone gave Rambo depth and vulnerability, reminding audiences that heroes are also human. The Rambo franchise exploded, becoming a symbol of raw power, survival, and justice. By the mid-1980s, Sylvester Stallone was not just a movie star. He was the face of American action cinema. Throughout the 1980s, Stallone dominated Hollywood with blockbusters like Cobra, Over the Top, Tango and Cash, and more entries in the Rocky and Rambo sagas. But fame came with costs. Injuries from stunts left his body battered. He endured broken bones, surgeries, and even a near-fatal heart injury during Rocky IV when Dolph Lundgren's punch sent him to intensive care. Off-screen, he faced personal struggles, failed marriages, complicated relationships, and media scrutiny. The toughest blow of all came decades later, in 2012, with the loss of his beloved son, Sage Stallone, at just 36 years old. It was a tragedy no father should face, and it left a scar that never healed. Yet even through grief, Stallone continued to create, pouring his emotions into his art. By the 2000s, many thought Stallone's time had passed. But like Rocky, he refused to stay down. In 2015, Stallone returned as an older, wiser Rocky Balboa in Creed, mentoring Adonis Creed, the son of his late friend Apollo. The performance was heartfelt, raw, and deeply human. It earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor, reminding the world that Sylvester Stallone was more than muscle, he was a true actor. Then came Creed II in 2018, and Tulsa King in 2022, where he reinvented himself again, this time as a mafia capo exiled to Oklahoma. At nearly 80 years old, Stallone proved he still had the power to surprise audiences. Today, Sylvester Stallone is a husband, a father, and a proud mentor to his 3 daughters, Sophia, Sistine, and Scarlett, who often appear alongside him on social media and television. He has spoken openly about how being a father to daughters softened him, teaching him patience, emotional openness, and love in ways he never experienced growing up. At 77 years old, Stallone continues to train, to act, and to create. His life is no longer about proving himself, but about passing on wisdom, cherishing family, and honoring the legacy he built with sweat, sacrifice, and heart. Sylvester Stallone's story is one of the greatest underdog tales of all time. From a struggling actor who could barely pay rent to a global icon who defined an era of cinema, his journey is proof that resilience conquers doubt and passion conquers pain. He is not only a star, he is a survivor, a storyteller, and a living legend. And as long as audiences cheer for the underdog, the name Sylvester Stallone will echo across generations.